We're always told to save our money. It's like the #1 rule of finance. But what if I told you that's actually kind of bad advice? I'm going to share a really simple story my grandfather taught me, and it's a lesson that completely changed how my family thinks about money.
Never save money. Seriously, those were the first words my grandfather ever taught me about finance. It's a shocking thing to hear, right? I mean, everything we learn is about saving for a rainy day, for the future. But he'd just get this little smile on his face and explain the difference. He'd say, don't just save money, make your money grow. It sounds like a tiny difference in words, but understanding it, well, that was the key to his whole story. And it's honestly the perfect lesson for any of us trying to build some real financial security. See, my grandfather was a wonderful, kind man, but for a really long time, he was only a dreamer. He lived his whole life in a state of one day. One day I'll open a shop, he would always say. But that one day just never came. He never really worked, he only dreamed. And because of that, life got incredibly hard for our family. I will never ever forget the night his own little grandson asked for a piece of bread, and my grandmother had to open an empty cupboard. That silence in the room, it was just deafening. That night, my grandmother sat him down and gently told him, "Dreams are beautiful, my love, but dreams cannot fill the stomach." And that was it. That was the turning point. He finally realized that hope by itself isn't a plan. So, he did what he thought was the right thing to do. He did what we're all taught to do. He started saving. He decided he was going to fight back against their hardship with a money jar. He found this big glass jar, hid it under their bed, and he called it Our Tomorrow. And every single week, you'd hear the clink of a few hard-earned coins going inside. Now that sound, that was the sound of hope. But man, it came at a cost. The family ate less, they wore older clothes, all of it just to fill this one jar. So after months and months of sacrifice, he finally took the full jar to the market. He was so proud he could finally buy 3 big sacks of corn for the family. But the shopkeeper just shook his head. Prices had gone up. All of his savings could now only buy 1.5 sacks. He had done everything right, but this invisible thing called inflation had silently stolen half his wealth. He was absolutely heartbroken. But that evening, just sitting there watching his neighbors, a little idea sparked. It was a tiny, tiny idea, but it was the beginning of everything. The shift from just saving money to actually growing it. He turned to his grandson and asked this really simple question. What if we buy chickens? This wasn't some grand dream of opening a store. This was small. It was real. It was something he could do right now. And here's the crucial part. This time, he didn't say someday. He took the money from that very same jar, the money that was literally shrinking in value, and he acted on his idea immediately. He went out and bought a few small chickens. And just like that, their little egg factory began. I mean, at first, they found 1 egg, then 2. They ate some, and they sold a few. And with the money from the eggs they sold, guess what? They bought another chicken. One day, my grandfather was holding an egg in his hand, and he told his grandson the greatest lesson he ever learned. He said, "This egg, this is more powerful than a jar of money." See, money in a jar just sits there, losing its power. But an egg represents a system. It's a little factory that creates more value. It grows. So, how do we take this beautiful story and actually apply it to our own lives? Well, it really boils down to a simple 4-step method that, honestly, anyone can follow. The grandfather's method is just so simple and powerful. First, start with a small, totally manageable idea. Second, and this is probably the most important part, act on it immediately. Don't wait. Third, you gotta track your progress. He kept a little notebook for every single egg sold. And fourth, reinvest what you earn. Use that profit to make your little system bigger. And this right here is the core concept. Saving is passive. You're just putting money aside and kind of hoping it doesn't lose value. But growing is active. You're using your money to build a small engine, something that actually generates more value and creates its own momentum. So this brings the lesson right to our doorstep. What is your family's egg? How can you take this same principle and apply it today, maybe even with your own kids?
Your family's egg does not need to be complicated at all. It could literally be selling eggs from some backyard chickens or selling extra tomatoes from a small garden. It can be something as classic as a lemonade stand or even offering to walk a neighbor's dog for a few bucks. The idea itself actually matters less than the process. You start, you track, and you reinvest. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Forget about one day. What small egg can your family start growing today? Because the most important financial lesson you can ever learn isn't about saving up a fortune. It's about learning how to make a single dollar or even a single egg